Now, here's your host, Scott Foster.
Well, yes, and welcome back for another episode of Tweet Talk. You are here with me. I am here in October, and so are you. Fall is officially here. Now, there may be that stray summer, Indian summer craziness, but fall is here. And we are 1 day closer, 1 month closer to the end of this crazy, wild, freaking year. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Thanks for joining. If you haven't been here before, this is the show about nothing and everything, kind of like Seinfeld. And what I do is I take some tweets from my Twitter feed, turn them into questions, pose them to you. And that's what I'm going to do today. But first, we got a little business to take care of in the form of updating on you on what is going on in the world of sports, in the world of music, just in case you haven't been really dialed into it. Let's go.
And now, it's time for What Happened Since We Last Talked.
That was a hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck.
Now, I can't start this segment of the show. I usually don't like to talk about politics on my show, but I can't not talk about what happened this week. And we start off with the shit show of shit shows, as Dana Bash has called the first presidential debate of 2020. And I'm not just talking about the fifth graders crap and how he was. But if you were an American, you should be embarrassed about what you saw, what you witnessed, what you heard. And I know I am. It was some of the hard 90 minutes that this campaign has ever seen. And Trump set out to make Biden crack and take advantage of his stutter problem that he has amazingly gotten a handle of. Trump failed at that. And now, after spending 6 months trying to brush off the severity of COVID-19, the fifth grader has contracted the virus. What's worse is there's evidence that his people failed to make it known the exact timing of when he started to get sick, and may have gotten people, his family even may have gotten people sick because of that, since he attended rallies and other events while sick and being infected, and maybe as a result infecting other people unnecessarily. You can make your own thoughts about all of that, but I'm lying out what's been out there. Over 1 million people worldwide have died from the evil that is COVID-19, coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, whatever you want to call it. Epidemiologists from all across the respected scientific institutions have, through all their different methods, reached the same conclusion. 85 to 90% of the American population is still susceptible to COVID-19, the virus that is causing this pandemic and just wreaking havoc, not just on our country, but across the world. Now is not the time to get lax on state rules, on not wearing a mask, or other things. And that's all I have to say about that. So let's get on to some fun things, shall we? Starting off with congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are the 2020 Stanley Cup winners, and congrats to the NHL for the amazing bubble work in keeping all the staff, all the players, all the coaches, and everybody involved safe. It was an amazing, tough job, and it's shown that it can be done. And of course, the NBA, the last of the truly bubble sports, are in the middle of their final series. And so, again, another sport has done a wonderful job with the bubble, keeping everyone safe with little to no infections among their people while they try and bring us sports in this time of this crazy shit that's going on. On to sports that have not done so well with these, starting with baseball. It's postseason. Usually there's only 10 teams that begin the wonderful period of time for us baseball fans that is called the postseason. But now they're having 16 teams. And once we get to when we're in the division series, the league championships, and the World Series will all be played at neutral sites in Southern California and Texas. So again, not quite a bubble, trying to minimize player movement and people movement and limit the locations that they are going to and running around. So they're not hopefully going to see any COVID events between now and the end of the World Series. So far, so good. The French Open, which is usually held in June, and is in full swing. Yeah, I said it. And in Paris. But now, Paris is having an increase in COVID cases. And some are saying that it may be headed for a lockdown. We're not sure. But it remains to be seen. And now there is a bubble, but it's not a true bubble like it was here at the U.S. Open. But still, nothing has happened yet. Nothing bad has happened yet. Except for our beloved Serena Williams had to withdraw due to ankle problems that we saw happen to develop at the U.S. Open. Now on to football. Starting off with the NFL, which decided not to play their sport in a bubble. They could have easily done it. But now they're seeing their first cases of coronavirus. 14 members of the Tennessee Titans tested positive for the matchup against the Steelers. That was postponed. Now we have members of the Patriots, including Cam Newton, testing positive. Quarterback from the Chiefs. Their game has been postponed. Not as long as the Steelers-Patriots game, the Steelers-Tennessee Titans game, but postponed nonetheless because of COVID. So hopefully this is a situational thing and not something that we're going to start to see throughout the teams in the NFL. And hopefully it's a wake-up call for the teams to be careful and manage it. Now, the other thing is the NFL has also said it's going to get stricter with the fines. We've seen, week after week, we've seen staff and players and coaches on the sidelines without their masks on, which is no. And the NFL is going to start coming down harder on that. So maybe people will start listening. College football. What do we do about that? One of the craziest seasons of college football. We've seen upsets that we didn't think were going to happen. Conferences that are going to come back that said they were not going to hold football this fall or at all. So in a couple weeks, we're going to have the Big Ten. We're going to have the Pac-12 completing the Power Five. So all Power Five conferences will be playing football by the end of October. Mountain West will start in November. Now that leaves less games for those conferences. And we already see with the coaches' polls and AP polls that some of the Big Ten schools, many of the Big Ten schools, are in the polls already and have been for weeks. I'm throwing these out to you because I want to have you think and elicit some response. And especially if you're a college football fan, it just throws all these things into it. And what does it mean for the playoffs? What does it mean for teams that have less wins than other schools? When it comes to choosing who's going to make the playoffs, is it fair for Ohio State, who may only have 8 games, even run the table when Clemson or Alabama, maybe they get one loss by the time the matchups are scheduled? Is it fair that Ohio State's better than them because they played less games? All these things, and we still don't know. There's teams that are getting rocked by COVID in college as well. University of Houston couldn't play their first 4 games because their opponents had COVID issues. Notre Dame had to skip a week because their opponent had COVID, but yet they remained in the top 10. It'll be very interesting to see where this goes at the end of the year. Many questions remain for me about the validity of this season. Bowl season is going to be interesting, very much considering that the NCAA has said that every team will get to go to a bowl regardless of the record. So there you have it. Switching gears to entertainment, which has been just as wrecked, but just in time for the last month of the election, Saturday Night Live has returned for its 46th season. This should be an interesting ride. Week after week, they're just going to have so much so much material to write from that they're going to have too much of a show. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out, and maybe, who knows, maybe Saturday Night Live will be a little funnier than it usually is. Now we get on to the movie theaters and what has been happening with movie releases. Granted, it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's not the most important aspect of this pandemic, but in a way it is, because you don't have movies being made, you don't have movies being put out to the movie theaters, and the trickle-down effect is people are not working, people are losing their jobs because of these results. Now, with the move by Disney and by MGM to move Black Widow and No Time to Die, respectively, I was really hoping No Time to Die was not going to get moved, but now both of those movies we'll see next year. Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy is the next big movie to come out in theaters as of right now, and that's not until December. Again, would you go see a movie right now? Would you go see a movie in the theaters? Given all these safety precautions, would you go to the movies? Obviously not, because the box office is in a pandemic struggle. When Tenet is this huge movie, and in North America is only made less than or around $50 million right now. And not only that, but you have Empire Strikes Back. Yes, The Empire Strikes Back, 40 years old, is in the top 5 of movies, box office movies. Houston, we have a problem. It's a struggle, it's a dilemma, and breaking news that Cineworld, which is the parent company of the Regal Cinemas here in the United States and in the UK, are thinking about closing down their cinemas across the US and across the UK, at least for the rest of the year. Who knows for how long? Now, that's a crushing blow, setting us back. If Regal does that, I would not be surprised if AMC Theaters is far behind. That, or they're going to take advantage of it somehow. But if you are a James Bond fan, there's good news in a way, because there's a new podcast. Speaking of podcasts, when you're done listening to mine, you can go to the new James Bond podcast, which is affectionately enough called No Time to Die. I listened to the first episode, and it was a lot of fun, and just talked about Bond in general, the history of Bond, and really kind of iconic pieces and lots of information, and I can't wait to see and hear more and listen to more of the episodes as it moves on. A new reality show is going to send one lucky winner into space. As much as I don't like reality TV shows, I would love to be on that TV show. If I'm not, I might even watch it. But Space Hero Inc. will give one lucky winner a trip to the International Space Station in a planned launch in 2023. So between now and then, whoever's chosen to be on this show is going to go extensive training, will face challenges that test their physical, mental, and emotional well-being and strengths. And rightly so, because going into space is its own being and own little monkey. And so, but what I would not do to get on that show. And finally, for you pumpkin spice lovers, because it is October, it is officially, in my mind, even though in Starbucks' mind, it's been pumpkin spice season for a long time earlier. It is finally pumpkin spice season. And Cheerios is adding to the craze and giving you pumpkin spice Cheerios. So not only you get pumpkin spice Cheerios, you get a little color and flavor to your milk. So with that, let's jump in to some tweets. But first, you must listen to this guy.
And now, a word from our sponsors. 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 And now, a word from our sponsors.
I never thought I'd be doing a podcast until I discovered how easy it was to get started using Anchor. Within minutes, I was up and running on my phone and recorded my first podcast on my phone. But you can also use the Anchor website on your laptop, on your computer, and switch between the two. Let me tell you why Anchor is a better choice above all the choices out there for doing your podcast. Number one, it's free. Who doesn't like free? Number two, Anchor walks you through the steps of creating, recording, and getting your podcast on all the major platforms. It does the legwork for you. Number three, you can make money from your podcast right from your first listener. Who likes making money? This guy. Anchor is the complete package when it comes to producing your podcast on your phone or your computer. So go to your app store, download the Anchor app, or go to the website, anchor.fm, and get started. That's all you have to do to get your podcast underway. So our first tweet comes from @Mareeves, Mareevs. And they ask, what would be the first thing you would do if the pandemic went away, COVID-19 just disappeared right now? What would be the first thing you would do? Now, there's a lot of things on my list. The first thing, though, is I would gather all my friends, my wife and I, and we would go and have the biggest brunch at our favorite place, Jacob's Pickles, up in the Upper West Side of New York here. And we would have a lot of fun. We'd eat a lot of food, and we'd have a lot of adult beverages. Now, the next thing we do after that, I'd go digest in a movie theater. And I don't care what's playing. It could be Jaws. It could be Empire Strikes Back that's out right now. I just want to go sit in a movie theater. At that point, I wouldn't be able to eat movie popcorn, so maybe I'll wait till the next day because I also want some movie popcorn. Haven't done that since last February, March. Bad Boys for Life, when they came out. That was the last movie I saw in a movie theater. I'm dying to go to a movie theater. Now, we've been lucky enough to have been able to see some of our family, but a lot of our family are not in this state. And so we would probably also very soon travel to see our friends. And speaking of traveling, this will be the first time this fall, in about for the first time in 4 years, that we are not going to London. My wife goes for work, and I go for play. I love the city. I miss it dearly. And we would hop the next plane available to London. Probably do it sometime around Christmas time. It's beautiful there. That would be our holiday trip. Now, this actually might fall to the top of the list. Over the course of the time, my wife and I have gathered and purchased probably, we have together probably have about 30 masks. And we would have one freaking huge bonfire, and we would invite everybody on our block to join in and just throw those mother effers right in the pail, burn them, and not have to worry about wearing them anymore. That would be, I mean, top 3 in a list. After we eat, we burn. What is your first thing that you want to do if this COVID-19 pandemic just disappeared right now? Let me know. AD_Foster on Twitter or Instagram.
Check this out.
Are you somebody who works out? Are you somebody who needs caffeine to get you going in the morning? Well, I'm both of those. And I've discovered Raise Energy Drinks. Raise Energy Drinks is one of the best energy drinks on the market today. When you think energy drinks, you're thinking, Monster or Bang or Red Bull. But it's better than that. It has flavor, and it has the ingredients that are more beneficial, and when it's not some magical potion to do the everything for you. And there's no crash. And I really like it. It's also good for post in terms of recovery. If you like it and you want something, you want to try it, go to repsports.com, REPPSPORTS.com, and use TweetTalk15. That's TweetTalk15 for a discount to anything you buy over there, particularly the Rays. Now, our second tweet comes from at Cinsequence. CINSEQUENCE, and ask about one-hit wonders and what your favorite one-hit wonder is. Now, when I talk one-hit wonders, I'm talking about bands that had a great song came out, was a hit, and they really didn't do much worldwide, anywhere. Not they had a one-hit wonder, and that's all they did, but then they put out 5 albums. So that's when I'm talking about one-hit wonders. That's what I'm thinking. And you should too. So just throwing out some of what I feel are one-hit wonders that everyone remembers, but nobody else remembers anything about the band. Let's start off with The Vapors. And they're Turning Japanese. Now, some call this the dumbest song ever made. It's a very interesting one. It's catchy, but it definitely doesn't mean anything. And more interesting to that, the band broke up a year after this song came out. It wasn't that good luck for them. Next, this song is kind of I don't know, I'd never really caught on to this song, although it is a one-hit wonder. Chumbawamba and their Tub Thumping song. It even, the name, both the band name and the song name, it's really kind of crazy. Now, the interesting thing about the band, though, is that the band themselves were very apolitical, very, like, nonconformist, and their music was about kind of rebellious. And even when they turned famous and celebrity with the song, they urged fans to go steal it. And this is before Napster happened, which would then happen a few months later. Even in the face of celebrity and fame, people don't always react the way you might think. And now this is an oldie but a goodie. And you always hear it, and there's actually been a bunch of remakes. Now, is a remake of a remake still a remake? And that's Soft Cell with Tainted Love. You know the song. It's a good song. It's a catchy song. Very 80s song. However, the song was actually first recorded by Gloria James in 1965. Soft Cell ran with that one, and you ask Soft Cell who? Exactly. Speaking of who, Norman Greenbaum. I don't even know, I think before I was researching this question that I don't know if I ever knew the artist to Spirit in the Sky. But his name is Norman Greenbaum. And it's the only thing he's done. It's the only song he's done. And he was inspired to make the song, and he did so in 15 minutes. And it became a commercial success. It's all over. You see it in commercials now. You see it in even movies or people's entrance songs in sports. So very, very interesting. And then we come to the Surferists, the group that gave you Wipeout. Wipeout. Yeah, that one. Their one hit, only hit, and then to never be seen again. However, the song was so popular, and has been so popular throughout the ages, that they were inducted into the Musicians Hall of Fame in Tennessee. Just goes to show, all it takes is one good song, and you may make it big. Now, this last one is one of my favorites. Craziest thing about it is that it's a catchy song, it's a catchy tune, and the story behind, the story within the song is pretty cool, but then the story about the song, the evolution of the song, is even more mysterious. And that's Tommy Two Tones, and that's a group, that's not a guy. And their 8675309-JENNY. Even the band doesn't know how the song grew and where it came from. Some speculation and urban myth, if you will, revolves around a prostitute. But we'll never know. Unless you know any members of the band Tommy Two Tone. Now, I encourage you to go find these songs. If you don't know any of these songs, they're all fun. And I guarantee you, you go find these songs, check it out on YouTube or something, and they'll be in your head for the rest of the day. These are some of my top one-hit wonders. What are yours? Let me know. AD_Foster at Instagram and Twitter. So another one's coming to close. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me here on my deck, enjoying the October New York City air. It's beautiful. And yes, it's a lot better, for real, than the New York City summer air. Appreciate you hanging. Come and join me. Please, wherever you found me, leave a review. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like, and how I can change it for better next time. Until then, be strong, be good, be nice to each other. And we still got to wear that mask, so please do. Thanks for hanging out with me, Scott Foster, and another Tweet Talk. Bye-bye.